Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Rina Lore, and this is going to be my heaviest, my hardest video to record so far. And I actually have no idea where to start. This is going to be most probably an even longer video than usual because there's a lot to cover. And before I start, I just want to let you guys know that I don't want to villainize anyone. I don't want to say that everybody tried to make things harder for me and that I'm a victim. Actually, on a certain level, I am. But I don't want anyone to believe that I want to shit talk anyone. This is only my side of the whole story. I'm not saying it was easier for anyone. And most probably this video will create an even bigger gap between my family and I. So, that all being said, let's get it started. So, if this is the first video that you watch on my channel, there are a few things that is important regarding the whole story, just to give you some background. So, I was born in Central Europe, in Hungary, in Eastern Hungary, in a small town, with a population around 8 or 10,000 people. And if you want to ask what was LGBTQIA plus life back in the 90s and early 2000s, it sucked. So I will just try to recall what moments triggered these feelings, suspicions that I might be gay. Because I think if you're watching this video, most probably you had your own moments. So let's talk about that. So when I was born in the very early 90s, people in Hungary technically did not even talk about being gay. I can't recall much of kindergarten or most of elementary school, besides all the bullying, because I was the odd kid, always. And things were not easy because I was one of the kids whose mother was a teacher in elementary school, so it was just not easy. Anyway, I don't remember much besides the bullying, and I think it was the year either 2003 or 2004 when a duo called Tattoo just suddenly hit the charts. They were all over the billboards, and the biggest thing about them was that they were allegedly a couple. So I think this was where it all started for me. This was the point, I think, I started questioning my sexuality, but I was young, so I was around 12, right? I was just stepping into teenagehood. Oh boy. So the internet was just coming to town. My mother certainly did not want internet in the house because all modern gadgets or inventions are evil. That's exaggerated. But my mom definitely did not want internet in the house. So when I realized I had no one to turn to with this, and that being gay and having gay thoughts is like, well, I don't know how to describe it properly, but oh my god, if it turned out in the early 2000s in Hungary that you were gay, you were technically dead. Dead. No one was talking about it. As far as I can recall, it was just surfacing. So we are around still in 2004. So since I realized nobody was talking about it, and the internet was coming in, I realized that maybe there are some sources on the internet that would help me out. We literally had to go to the library, pay some money to use the internet for an hour or two. My mom hated it. My mom hated paying for this, but sometimes I did go. And I had to be actually very careful on searching. You know, you never know in a small town who was looking over your shoulder, like literally. So I had to be careful, and then shit, this is actually messed up. But I started researching things, and I registered on the dedicated Hungarian main chat room. And that was when I started like talking with other lesbians out there. And at that point, that was it. I just wanted to connect with people. My mother hated it, how I started like spending my credit on the phone with people like she didn't know, which is a valid concern. It was the early 2000s, almost mid 2000s. And her daughter was chatting with unknown people, with complete strangers from the internet. I think tattoo was like my friction, but I was like a huge fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It aired in Hungary, and there were some parts. Because, you know, at first, when I was a kid and I played a lot of video games, I watched series, and when I just thought that, ooh, that girl is pretty, before I hit teenagehood, I was like, what's wrong with it? Like, nothing's wrong with it. And then I started to have, like, other thoughts about girls. So tattoo definitely was the friction. But then, when Buffy the Vampire Slayer started airing in Hungary, and I saw Willow and Tara kiss for the first time, which was a real kiss because for the longest time it was censored. So when I saw their first kiss, I had this feeling at first in my belly, but then this feeling started pushing down. And I was like, ooh, what is this? And then I got familiar with the L Word, which was miraculously aired and dubbed in Hungary, at least for 3 seasons. And then it was all gone. So I started watching the L Word, and I was like, oh, those are my people. I was addicted to the series. And I was like, yeah, these are my people. But I was still very afraid of talking about it. I was still like 12. And then it went on. And that was a point around the age of 13 or 14 when I realized that I was crushing on one of my classmates. It was a disaster. Nobody really talked about it. And I didn't really feel like it was like a bad thing to be attracted to her. Like, we were friends, and there were like several occasions when I actually did hit on her. Subconsciously, I got rejected many times, and I just didn't understand why it was a bad thing. Why girls couldn't like girls, boys couldn't like boys. I just didn't see how it was a bad thing. So more and more people started talking about homosexuality, how bad it was, things like that. So here it goes. I literally, oh God, it's so bad. But I literally buried it in me, and I tried to forget about it. Like, we're still talking about the early mid 2000s, so most people were like,
Oh, it's a phase. It's gonna pass. Especially for teenagers, and it's getting like so trendy to be gay, especially for girls.
so I buried it in me. I got into high school. That is also a period, I don't really remember much of high school besides the bullying. And I had several crushes. But, and here comes the thing, I started dating boys, and I thought that, it is indeed a phase. I wanted to be a good daughter. I wanted to be a good child, a good person. So I really, really thought that we had no other choice. So girls date boys, boys date girls, and that's it. If you are gay, you are a sinner and you are going to burn in hell. My family is not even religious, by the way. So I started dating boys. I mean, I had a boyfriend still in elementary school. It was a disaster. And just to feel normal, I did him off at the age of 13 or 14. It was not good. I didn't like it, but I did it because I just wanted to feel normal. But anyway, in high school, I think I was already like 15 when I started to date a boy. And this is going to be a funny one because, like, literally, I think even less than a month before I met him, I went on a concert. It was a huge concert, and I met a girl. And we technically kept hooking up during the whole show. It was good for me. And I had this feeling in my belly that I had when I saw Tara and Willow kissing in Buffy. So I was like, this is it. This is it. So we became friends. And then at the end of the year, we decided to go on another concert. And then I met this boy. We started dating. And since I wanted to feel normal, we wanted to have sex. And that was a disaster. I don't really want to go into the details, but I didn't have the same sensation in my body, and I couldn't get aroused, and it was just so messy. It was so messed up, but I kept trying and trying. In the end, since we just couldn't get on with things, we broke up. I mean, we were very young. And then I started hooking up with another guy. Yet again, sex did not work out. And I thought it was all me. And you know what? It was all me. I just didn't feel sexually attracted to them. And I don't want to get into labels or things like that because I would not say I have never ever loved a boy. But I don't think I have. And when it comes to girls, I have always felt attracted to them, and it was very hard as a teenager with technically no one to be around to talk about it. It was very much stigmatized, and I hated it all. I hated myself so much. And then oh God. So I was still in high school. Towards the end of high school, I think around the age of, I don't know, actually like 17-ish, I met a girl online. So we got together. It was a long distance relationship, and it was what it was. I don't really want to get into the details because some parts of this relationship was messy. It wasn't on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off thing. And we got together. She visited me. It was okay. It turned out that it could work. When she kissed me, I had that same sensation in my body. I messed with boys. And then I visited her. And my mother did not approve. So I told her that she was a friend from another friend's school who moved, and oh mom, you must remember her.
We used to be together a lot. I can't believe you don't remember her.
So this is Hungary, right? This is still Hungary. So there were only 2 buses the whole day that I could catch to get to her. So my mom said, okay, you can go and visit her, but you have to come home the same day. And I was like, Mom, what the hell? So I did that. So anyway, we did have sex, and I was like, wow, this is what my body was craving for. And here comes the shitty part. So we did talk a lot. That was around the time when my mother was sick. And even though we had internet by that time, it was still a family computer. My brother and I both used it. My mother sometimes used it. It was the 2000s. So what did we have for communication, guys? That's right, MSN and Skype. Oh my god, I feel so old. Anyway, and this is heavy. I actually don't know how to phrase this not to look my mother as a villain. So my mother did read through all our conversations, and she figured out that I was gay, that we were actually in love, that when I visited my girlfriend at the time, we did have sex, and my mother was disgusted. There was a lot of shouting. She technically took the opportunity from me to come out. She was very upset. And I was very upset because I told her my side. Like, listen, I tried with boys and it didn't work out. I don't feel the same. And she insisted that this is not the way. And later on, she needed to be operated with something. And of course, I was worried. But all the finger pointing, like, this is my fault that she got sick and she got to be operated, was painful. I mean, my dad was not like supportive. He was trying to remain neutral. And I don't know if he is disgusted by the whole thing. He was a sweetheart about it, and we usually don't talk, especially about feelings, because we are Hungarians, we don't have to talk about our feelings. So there was this one evening when my mom was not home, and I know that he did not really want to talk about it. But since he saw that this whole thing was eating me alive, at one point he just turned to me and said, you know what? I don't care about anything, and whatever happens, you will always be my little girl. And it hit me so heavy because at that point I did not feel it from my mom's side. And after she was operated, my dad said, you will need to visit her. And I said, I know, and I want to. But my mom called me and she said that she didn't want me to visit her if I was still with my girlfriend. But since she's my mom and I was worried for her and I wanted to see if she was doing okay because she was kept in the hospital for a few days, I did go. And at one point we were walking and she pulled me back and she asked me, so is it over? And I said, no, why would it be over? I love her. And she went on like, why are you here then? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, it felt like she would not love me or I would not love her back if I was dating women, which was really painful at the time and it still is. So what happened after that is a complete mess. Because after a while, the girl and I did break up because I just realized that we are going on so different ways that we were no longer compatible. So things like that. And my mom was happy. Shit, it's shitty, but she was happy. And then at one point, I think while I was already in university, the very beginning of university, I just started And we went on a concert, and I did hook up with a guy because I felt so unloved at one point. And after that, I still went on a few dates with some guys. I didn't feel the spark when they touched me. And when I say touch, don't think much into it. Like my arm, my thigh, you know, I didn't have the same feeling. And it was fed up. And I hated myself. I stopped dating for a while. Then I met this one person in university who most probably was bisexual at the time. I don't want to give you the whole story, but sometimes we did hook up. No, we didn't have sex, but we did have some fun occasionally, and we were close. And I also had another long distance relationship in university for a while, for about a year, 1.5 maybe. It was good. I had the same sensation in my body when I was with her, so I knew that this was my path, but I just could not shake the feeling of that I hated myself, because at home, well, mainly my mom did not accept it. First of all, she just took the opportunity from me to come out when I would have felt ready. And the thing is, and I'm lucky, I seriously consider myself lucky, because my auntie has always been supportive. I could always talk with her about things like this, or when I had problems in my relationships, and she just never judged me. You know, sometimes jokingly, she was like, yeah, maybe you should indeed try it with guys. And we always just laughed it off. I could always complain to her. She was always there for me. She always listened. She was willing to meet my partners. And I also had one of my cousins. She was like not that supportive, because she was like, listen, if we meet, I don't want you guys, to be touchy touchy when I'm around, or kiss each other when I'm around, but otherwise I'm okay with this. So it was all good on that side. My father never really talked about the thing again. He was absolutely neutral. So time kept passing by, and I hated myself for a long time, until I met someone in 2014. And this girl and I became friends. I crushed on her for several months. It was tough because she did not want to see it, but that was fine. So we became really good friends. It was good, and she actually helped me how to accept myself, how to not to feel that I'm disgusting just because I want to love women. I don't want to love women, but this is my brain. And I do love women. I do believe that the female body is a freaking masterpiece. It is. So anyway, my mom never accepted any of this, and I started to feel like I needed to remain closeted. And that was at one point, this is like a story that I think it fits, because coming out has never been easy. So even we were already in the 2010s, still in Eastern Hungary, I felt like I just can't tell anybody, because whenever we mentioned the queer community, and here's the thing, so I was an English major, English and American Studies, so it was a little bit way more open than Hungarians. So when the topic came up, I looked at all the faces, just like how my peers reacted. And as I was supportive, there were only like a few people who were also supportive or completely neutral or could call themselves allies. And there was this one guy, I remember him clearly because otherwise I did like him up until this point. So we had to make a presentation for one of the courses, I don't even remember which one, and he started off like this. So I made this presentation and it's about homosexuality or something like that. But I have to clarify that I don't like this topic, I don't understand them, and I don't agree with them. And I was sitting there like, whoa, dude, what the f? Then why did you choose this topic? And I was really grateful because at this point, the professor actually called him out. Like, it sounds homophobic, isn't it? And some of us agreed. And he was like, oh, no, no, I'm not homophobic. I just don't understand. And the professor retorted, like, but you said that you don't agree with them, you don't understand, and you don't like it. So it's homophobic. Why did you pick this topic then? And he was like, no, 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 I'm not a homophobic. And at the end of the conversation, this little argument, he said that, okay, I might be homophobic. And I was not pleased. I was still closeted. After that, I did not really talk to him. So towards the end of university, because I really took my time. So instead of 3 years, it took me like 6 because I didn't like it. Then I actually did drop out for a year. So it was a mess. But towards the end of university, I was lucky to meet some other people who was part of the LGBTQIA plus community. And I felt lucky enough to be like more relaxed when the topic came up. When I took this writing workshop or creative writing workshop, I felt more confident when I could write about homosexuality. And I think this was also one of my trigger points because I was starting to accept myself for being a lesbian. But the thing that really got to me was a thing that the lecturer said, who is, by the way, a published author. So he said, no matter what you write about, you will need to put something in your works from yourself. And at first I was like, yeah, I will try to put Hungarian characters in my works. That could work. And it didn't because it felt so strange from me. And when I put some homosexual characters in my books, in my short stories, it all started coming together. By the way, this is how I ended up changing the whole synopsis and story for Speak to Me. Because at first I just wanted a story inspired by, at first, only Voice from the Stone, and then I added up Chloe Price's character, and then everything just came naturally. So when I kept writing, I just realized that, oh my god, no, this character is so queer. So we are already around the year 2006. I left university. I was still closeted. At this point, I was not dating anyone for a long time because I knew that my mother would not approve. And that was the case. My mother didn't approve at all. And she put pressure on me with examples of my peers like,
oh, look at her, she's getting married, she's pregnant.
And I was like, Mom, I don't care. I just want to be happy. I just want to figure out what to do. Then maybe I'll jump a little bit because I don't really want to talk an hour about how life sucked in Eastern Hungary. So in 2018, I moved to Budapest and it was like so good. I started living with my brother and I thought that this is going to be great because my mother can't stop me now. So I started dressing up like a baby gay, even though I was already in the second part of my 20s. So it was a little bit funny, but to be completely honest, I never really looked like my age. I always looked a little bit younger, so I was lucky. And, I started dating people. It was fun. And I felt like, oh my God, this is it. But truth be told, when I started dating someone, it always just turned out like my mother always figured it out, even though I kept lying, and it was not good. She kept spitting the blame on me, like, this is only my fault, not hers. And by the way, guys, nobody said it was her fault. It has never been. This is just me. So she kept trying to convince me. We kept fighting about how I should find a man, how I just never had good sex with a man because I was a teenager, things like that. During COVID, I met someone online. It was supposed to be a long distance relationship until she graduated. I told her to move in, so she moved in, then we moved in officially together in the summer of 2020. So anyway, we moved in together. That apartment was huge. So we had like 2 bedrooms, a living room, things like that. So if anybody came, they had space to stay in. And my mother realized that she had no choice but to meet her. She had to meet one of my partners. By the way, she did not make a good impression. My mom was very much against it. And at that point, I didn't care anymore. I didn't let my mother bully me anymore into like hide this part of myself. At least when I was in the capital. So nothing really went on my Facebook page. I never stated that I was in a relationship, but I would never do that anyway because that's nobody's business who I'm with or what we do in the bedroom. I think that is private. So actually I did share some photos on Instagram, but that was like nothing like, kissing or loving shots. It was just like little pieces of our lives. And I did it several times with other partners as well. So we will need to jump a little bit in time. So let's talk about the year 2021. Both of my sister-in-law and cousin were pregnant. My baby niece and baby nephew were both on the way. This is going to be important in a couple of minutes. So both of them were born in October, and I never took my partner home, by the way, because my mother didn't let me. Of course, it was painful, and we fought about this a lot. So my nephew and niece were both born. I could see both of them for a good while, but seemingly I made a mistake in the summer of 2022. My partner at the time and I decided to go on Pride. I shared my happiness on Instagram. These were not like photos that were like, oh my God, this is disgusting. I was just there having fun. So a couple of months later, my brother found these photos and he did not even told me this. He just told my mom that I can no longer see my niece because of this. By the way, he knew about me being gay. First of all, we lived together, and even before that, he saw me kissing girls when I was 16 and 17 because for a little while we shared the same friend group. So it was no news to him, but from that point on, I could not see my niece. And whenever I visited my parents, he refused to come. And my mom kept fighting me about this. And I was like, Mom, this is who I am. I understand that you don't want to see this on Facebook, on Instagram. You won't. There will be no kissy pictures or anything. That's okay. But I will just not deny me being me because this is part of who I am. And of course, she was not happy. I think she was a little bit happy when my girlfriend at the time broke up with me. But by the way, she did feel bad about it because that breakup was messy and my girlfriend just packed all her stuff and left when I was with my parents visiting them for my mom's birthday. So she felt a little bit guilty. She actually did share my pain, tried to be really empathetic. Then she came up with the whole "you should date guys again" thing. We broke up, and for a good while I didn't date anyone. I tried to. I had a situationship. I went on a diet during this situationship. This was a mess, but I needed it. So I did hook up with some people. I didn't tell my mom about it. She didn't need to know. Then I got into a relationship last year, and my mom really did not approve again. We kept fighting about it. I wasn't happy again because this is a thing that she knows about for more than 16 years now. She keeps trying to convince me that I'm not really gay. Like, I just didn't find a perfect man for myself, and no. So, the chance for me to come out when I felt ready was taken from me. And when I say at some point I do find men attractive, it's true. But sexually, ooh, no. Like, if I see a penis, I freak out. Like, I started gagging. Like, no, thank you. And this is like the hard part to get my mom understand. And if you have any tips, you can share, because the thing is, I use toys, okay? And I did use toys with my partners. And at this point, this is getting embarrassing, but this is the point. And even the last time, my mom was like, listen, if you're so gay, why do you have d-? And I was like, I was totally dumbfounded. Like, how should I tell you this? Because I have no idea how to tell you this. Because my body is the same as yours, right? So, I need to get off somehow. My vagina is not different than yours. It needs the same type of stimulation, and it's only my brain that is different, that is wired different, and that's it. My anatomy is the same. And I told this that same evening at least 5 times, and she didn't get it. So if you have any tips on how to get it through her mind, feel free to let me know, because I'm really stuck at this moment. So we finally arrived to 2025. I'm still gay as and now I feel totally okay with it, even though it's not like I've come out like fully. I'm still like semi-closeted because of my mom, because the last thing I want is to hurt her even more. And I know it should not be the case, but it is the case. And I'm not happy about it, but this is the case, okay? So I will never post anything like that on Facebook, maybe on Instagram. And here, this is my safe space. YouTube is my safe space. And if anyone from my hometown wants to blame my mom for this, you. Sincerely, just you. Or if you want to talk shit about me just because I want to love freely and I want to love a woman, you can go ahead and yourself, kindly. Because I don't care anymore. I have tortured myself enough when I was a teen and in my early 20s. And it was not worth it, just because there are a bunch of assholes who think that they are better than me because they are heterosexual, already have a family, and a non-existing career. So it's on you. But anyway, guys, I think this is way more than enough of me rambling again, like a lot, way more than usual, but this is the whole story. This is how my coming out story was taken away from me. If you can relate to it, you know what to do. And you can feel free to leave a comment about your coming out story, or if you can relate to any of this. Okay guys, if you like this video, give it a big old thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but it means a lot to me and it also helps me. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.